When I was still living under my parents' roof, I had ideas and beliefs that were skewed based off of the way I was raised. This also applied to common sayings, idioms, and proverbs. For instance, I didn't understand the saying, question everything, as that was the exact opposite of everything I was ever taught by my parents and even a good majority of my teachers. I was taught never to question anything and to always do what I was told, especially if told by a person of authority or someone older than me. It was only until college when I understood the true meaning of what that statement infers. And of course I couldn't understand it sooner because I wasn't allowed that privilege, living in survival mode in an abusive narcissistic family system. Another saying I didn't truly understand the meaning of until I was in my 20s was the saying, "Don't cry over spilt milk." And this is the story that explains it all, as it's been burned into my brain ever since it happened. Back when I was about 5 and my sister was 2, my mom had this routine where she would put my sister down for a nap, and then she would take a nap as well. While they were sleeping, I was allowed to go downstairs to watch my favorite afternoon shows, Picture Pages, with the very wholesome Bill Cosby, don't Google him, and Inspector Gadget. One day I grabbed my glass of milk and headed downstairs to where the bigger TV was as my sister and mom prepared to take their naps. As I get to the landing that separated our 2 sets of stairs, my grip on my glass of milk slipped and spilled everywhere. My cup was plastic, so there were no worries there, just the milk that flung itself all over the place. As I was no stranger to the temper tantrums my mother would have that seemed to come out of absolutely nowhere, I was terrified. The only thing I knew what to do at the time was cry. I was 5. So my mother comes running down to me with a reaction equivalent to if I just shot a dog dead with a BB gun. She's cursing my name, she's shaming me for getting milk everywhere, she's blaming me for her not being able to nap at her normal time because now she has to deal with my clumsiness in this mess. All the while I felt worse and worse, which led to more full-blown tears and sobbing as she yelled at me to stop being a baby. I apologized over and over again while my mom seemed more stung by each sorry that came out of my mouth as if they were insults. My mother didn't care that I was sorry. She didn't care that it was an accident. She was yelling at me as if I did this to her on purpose in order to ruin her afternoon. After she got done cleaning it up, she took my cup away from me and told me that I would never be allowed to drink any liquid other than water downstairs again. That was the true stinger. One mistake and I'm punished for life. And that woman stuck to this rule for 4 more years until we moved into a new house. Trust me, I pleaded a good chunk of that 4 years to be able to have milk privileges again, while she would tell me that I can't be trusted because of that one time. I wasn't even allowed to pour myself drinks until we moved into that new house. Age 8 is when I was deemed worthy enough. This incident affected me in so many ways later in life. I would have full-blown panic attacks if I ever spilled anything. Even into my 40s, I sometimes have this overwhelming feeling of needing to burst into tears whenever I feel like I messed up or did something that would lead my parents or my inner voice to say, "You're better than that. How could you let that happen?" The saying, "don't cry over spilt milk," was a saying I didn't understand until I was an adult. I now know that it means that you shouldn't cry over things that aren't that big of a deal. I believed into my 20s that it meant that even though it is a very shameful thing to do to spill milk, you shouldn't cry because it makes you look like a baby.